Hello again. Welcome to. I think this will be another installment in the C++ series. Not getting very far with the security stuff, although I've made some progress, but not enough to really make a video out of. So I'm getting frustrated and not getting anywhere quickly. I decided I wanted to attend to something that's been bothering me since day one. Well, certainly since day one of doing these videos. And that's this program. This thing converts these WMV files that are from the recorder into an AVI file. And it's free. I downloaded it for free. And I run through the conversion. This should be a short file. If you like. Is it going or not? Oh, gosh darn it. It's trying to convert the one I'm recording. Let me stop this first. Okay, as I was saying, I've saved that previous one off. Whenever I use this program, it says add video files, add a file, okay, 1 minute long. Now, I don't like looking at the window, so typically I just hide what's in the thing here. But that's not the problem. The problem is going to come up, you'll see in a minute. Now it produces these AVIs, and it's the only program I've found that can produce a decent AVI out of those WMV files. Everything else just gives you a mess. So I'm not sure what this one is. This has got to be. Oh, actually, no, I don't need that one. I don't need that. Where's the direct? I don't see it. That's not the one it's making. It's making this one right now. Yeah, I've been trying these various session 11, and none of it's been working out. Come on, where are you? 55%. Now the reason actually that I put it in here is because it's one of the ways I've partly solved the problem. Maybe I should pause to let it quicken its process. Okay. It beeped, and then up comes this thing here. Now, normally the window would also be showing underneath this box, right? Now, I've already got the output folder open, right? So I certainly don't need it to be opened. And so I want to just get rid of the box. But when I get rid of the box, well, let me just show you with with this here in behind. You see? What it does is, and even if this isn't open, it brings that window and puts it in front of the thing, right? And of course, then I get focused on what I'm going to do with the thing, and this thing is always sitting there in the background, and it just bothers me that I don't want it to be there anymore. I just want it to finish its job and then open the window, right? So it seems like nothing, but remember, if you're doing something a lot, and you tend to forget, and then suddenly you've got a whole big pile of these things in the list here, and it just becomes a hassle. And so by putting it in the little box here, I can click, it opens up this thing, and then instead of having to do Alt-Tab, to get it into the front, I just click it here and then close it, and it's one less, or an operation that doesn't require me to use my left hand. Anyway, I just want to get rid of the box. That's all, right? And I don't even know what I got off from that, because I was trying to encode it while it was running. Hello again. Yeah, it still worked. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you your first lesson in how to hack something, and that is what I intend to do. And I don't know if it'll be successful, but I'm hoping so. If I know where that file is. Where is it? Okay, now it's already using MS detours to hook something else, so I don't feel so bad. I look at the imports for this program, video computer converter. And I'm hoping to find, and see, it's using all this standard stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'm hoping to find a call to, like, dialog box, and lo and behold, actually that is in kernel 32, okay? Dialog box param. Here, okay. Now that there dialog that came up looks like, you see, it's using one of these. It looked like a regular dialog. So all I have to do is override this function, right? And if I can recognize when that dialog is supposed to come up, I can just, make it fail or something like that. So what I'd like to do is sort of eliminate the possibility of that dialog ever coming up in the first place. And then I can just close the program when it's finished. It makes a noise, so I'll know. Okay. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of imports in here, and so to start with, now I remember I used to do this sort of thing when I worked for that company, An example was, this is the point of sale company, and we used to work with these cash registers. What's a good editor? Edit is better than anything else. Okay, so I'm going to pause and try and draw a scenario. Boy, that took a lot longer than I expected. And now they're back to the hammering and banging outside. But if I can quickly try to explain the scenario. You see, what we're using here for communication between our two systems is what's called a named pipe. A named pipe is just like a file that you can usually either only read from or only write to, or you can have it both ways, which is what we had. And on both sides of this, here's their system, here's our system, there would be one thread that would do the reading and the writing to the systems. Now, this worked on many, many store systems. Never had a problem. So, for instance, someone would press a key. That would get sent over here. Their system would read the key, send the key to the cashier, and that would update the little display here. And then, well, normally we wouldn't have a flood. We would just get, just one little update. The update would then be read by us, and then we could say, okay, well, that's the new display, and display something on our side, right? No problem. But on this particular system, it turned out, the little display here, no matter how many keys you sent, would just keep writing and writing and writing and writing and writing. Just a big flood of writing, okay? Now these name pipes have a limit, how much size you allocate. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's pause. I'll pause. Yeah, I'll pause. Okay, it looks like the upcoming hurricane has scared the workers away. I guess they don't call them hurricanes here. Typhoon. The only thing that stops them is a typhoon. Now, as I was saying, if the buffer size, that refers to the buffer size allocated for the named pipe, isn't big enough, the system tries to expand the buffers, it's the internal buffers, to accommodate the data, using something called a non-paged pool that's reserved for the process. Okay, that's not even to do necessarily with its pipe, but just grabbing memory. Non-paged memory is like real memory, reserved for the process. And then the write operation will block until data is read from the pipe. So that the quota can be released. So the downside is that the operation, in this scenario, will block. Now this is what would happen in this case here. The little display here is sending so much data so fast that this thing got filled up. Meanwhile, we're trying to send a key. This thing's trying to send a key over to here. Now this guy here is trying to write, so he can't read that key from here because he's busy waiting for this write to complete. And this guy's trying to send a key, so he can't read from the pipe, and so the whole thing just blocks. It comes to a grinding halt, and the whole thing's just destroyed, finished. And this would happen all the time with their system. And it turned out that the amount of memory that they allocated for this pipe, okay, was some tiny little number. I remember it, I think it was like 512 bytes or something, maybe 1024. You know, because that's just a named pipe. You don't allocate more, more memory than that. That's just not something that's done. This is IBM talking. IBM would not even consider for a second altering the pipe. Now their side, they create the pipe. Their system, although we have a copy of it, right? But their internal code allocates a duplex pipe with it's only this little bit of size. Now, this situation as it is with the single threads is a simple one that is not prone to disasters and trouble as long as everything is working okay and there's enough memory. One solution, of course, would have been to split this up into separate threads and then cache the data and try to empty out the thing, right, as it's piling up, so that we could eventually get this thread moving again so that we could send it a key and get this damn thing to stop displaying so much. Once it's weird. It was once it gets to its sort of idle state, then it just repeatedly displays the same image. But if you get a key over here and it's just displaying the number 1, then everything's fine. So I said, well, why don't we just increase that to 4 megs or so? And you could hear the laughter over the telephone. Well, I wasn't laughing. I mean, these guys were in their 60s or something, when they were still thinking that this was the size of buffers in the day, but 4 megs. Who cares? 4 megs, whatever. The system's got an infinite memory. They wouldn't buy it. Wouldn't alter their code. And they had another thing too, where they wouldn't alter it, and I had to do the same thing. So what I did was I took their thing that they'd given us, this module, and I went to look for where it creates the name pipe. I looked for DLL import create name pipe. And I simply overrode that function, and where it said 1024, changed that to 4 megs. Not telling anyone, who just said, oh, it looks like we fixed the problem. It seems to be working okay, and everybody was happy, and nobody knew the difference. Well, that's the same sort of thing that could be applied to this program that's bothering you. And so just as a test, tried to see if I could remember how I did that. And so I reproduced something, but maybe I should just start from the beginning. It's just this thing here. Hookers, not the sex vendor, but hooking a function. Yeah, maybe I can delete this and just go from the beginning. or I could, I'll just go through the steps that I used to create this. This is a DLL, okay? And I have this little program called echo minus CR. And I put it in here. Now the original version is here. This program was designed so that it would have hardly any imports at all at speed. So this is a good one to work on to try and see if I can get it going. It only imports for one DLL. There's only 5 functions, so I can make a simple hook DLL, and not necessarily override anything, but just to see if I can get it working again. I wonder if you can hear me now. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just tell you first how to make a DLL project. First, you say new project, and then you've got to go to one of these, 132 projects, so that tells you DLL is included in there. I selected, I made a new directory, but I'll give it a different name. And I'll go back to the other. Now you have to be very careful with this. Select DLL and empty project, because we want the minimum possible stuff for what we want to do. Right? In my case, I just want to make that function return -1, and I don't want to import any libraries or anything like that. Then now unfortunately, until you add a CPP file, it doesn't really tell you much, except I know that program is only using an ANSI version function, so I want to stick to, I don't want Unicode, I definitely want multi-byte character text, so I can apply that. And then I got to add some kind of function file. CPP file, and call it DLL name, what I called it. And now you'll notice that the properties now has much more information. It's a DLL thing, it's standard Windows libraries. You still have debug information, but I always set that there. Now, I'm not sure what I said over. What did I say on that? I didn't change that. It doesn't really matter. But runtime library the DLL uses. It doesn't have to be the same runtime library as the program we're going to be hooking. If we use any runtime library support, which we probably won't, it doesn't matter. Language, linker, whatever. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want our export table to look like this import table. Exactly. We want all of these functions, right? And we know where they come from. We don't want any function declaration. We don't want any @ signs here or anything like that. It has to look exactly like that. Clean. And as far as I know, there's only one way to do it. So now I'll switch to the project I have. What you do is you create a, what they call a module definition file, which contains, there's a language for this that's explained in the help file, but one section is exports, and in this file I've given the names of the functions I want to export, and that's exactly what they're going to look like as far as if you did, dump bin /exports. That's the name, specific name I'm giving it. Now, the assignment here is where I want it, what I want this export to be associated with, the internal function I want it associated with. And this here is what they call the ordinal number. Now, I've worked these numbers out. These are in hex, but these have to be in decimal. So I converted these hex numbers into decimal, and it turns out that that's what they are. Now in my DLL main function, it doesn't have to be called that. I'm not, well, at least originally, I wasn't including any runtime library support, but then I turned it back on again, so I probably don't need this anymore. I think I can get rid of that. You can get rid of that. What I'm curious about actually is if I got rid of this. It's working, so it has to be calling that. Hopefully I get a linker error. No. Well, it must be using this one first, because this is definitely getting called. This would be the C runtime startup normally. Just like with a regular program, there's main CRT startup. For a DLL, there's an equivalent. But then when I could try. I don't want the default libraries really. I just want kernel 32. And one of the runtime libraries. Oops, lib. Um, what else would I need? Like I add a printf in there. I'm trying to remember. MS. It doesn't matter. It seems to work. We'll leave it as it is. Alright, now, after building that, you'll notice that I'm calling this kernel 32 DLL. So the output, that's the output file name. Okay. It's TTS. Okay. Now this doesn't look correct. It is correct. I'll build it again. It's funny, I didn't get this extra bit before. These are the correct functions. Maybe because the debug. Just make sure. That's funny. I mean, this is correct, but I don't know why it's showing me this extra information. I can only think that it's because I've got debug information or something. Oh, I did have this before. Maybe that makes a difference. Debugging. What if I turn off debug information? So I'm just going to show you that it can look the same. There. Okay. See? But I do want that debug information. One thing I could do maybe is say yes, but instead of using this format, you can use this format, I think. It didn't like that. PM requires that okay. No, still getting it. Alright, okay, put it back. Well, I don't care. But I do want to make sure that it can enter the debugger. Alright, so now what I did was made a copy of that executable. Here, here, and we want to open it. Open, open. Oops. Oh, they're back at it again. And open with binary. And then look for kernel 32 here, and I just change that E to an A. So everything should be the same, except it's going to take its imports from this DLL instead, which is the one I just made. Now, most of these functions are just defined as jump to the original function, which I load here at start. For running the program, this is the file I want to run. Here is its command line argument. So I should be able to put a breakpoint here and run. Okay, so here I am in my DLL, where I'm creating a console for printing things out. And then I get the real kernel 32. And all this is doing now is loading the real addresses of those functions. We look at this definition, get proc address name, right? In the case of the one I chose one at random that I want to have a look at, I give it a type. So this particular one, I look in the help file, and it happens to have this format. So I turn that into a type diff here, and declare it as being one of those. Load up all the functions, and let it run, and eventually it should come in here. And it does. And it has passed 0, a buffer, and a size of 512. If I look at the call stack, I can't even see. Oh yeah, here it is. Echo minus CR calls get module file name. So now I call the real one, and you can see that it has returned the name of the program. It didn't return the name of this DLL, and that's a good thing. See, normally when you pass no, it'll give you the name of your module, which would have been this DLL, except I've bypassed the startup bit, so I think that's probably why it works that way. Anyway, print it out. That's what it is. and then return. And now I'm here again for some reason. That's funny. Hello there. It's probably the detach phase. Yeah. I can't think of anything else, any other reason why it would be coming in there. In any case, I managed to override the function, and it still did its job as normal. Didn't realize anything had happened. And now what I want to do is make a similar DLL and patch it into that awful program and have it not ring up that dialog. And maybe I've done a few things wrong here, but I'll work it out. And hopefully I'll be able to show you by next time it working. And there'll be a lot of use of macros for these jumps. You know, all these things they're doing is just jumping to the actual function. They're declared as naked, right? Except for this one. This one's given an actual static frame because I want to do something with it. Okie dokie. So, I'll see you then.